Welcome to our channel, Fairy Animal Stories, your go-to place for heartwarming and emotional humans and animals stories. As once upon a time, in a forgotten village nestled between jagged mountains and a dense, shadowy forest, there lived a dog named Kale. Kale was no ordinary dog, he was a survivor. His once glossy coat had turned matted and dull, his ribs protruded like the bars of a cage, and his eyes, though fierce, carried the weight of endless hunger. The villagers called him Savage because he roamed the outskirts, scavenging for scraps and growling at anyone who dared come near. Kyle was a dog who had learned to trust no one, for the world had shown him only cruelty. One cold, moonless night, Kyle's sharp ears caught a sound that made him freeze. It was faint, almost drowned out by the howling wind, but unmistakable, a baby's cry. The sound was coming from the edge of the forest, where the trees grew thick and the darkness seemed alive. Kyle hesitated. He had no reason to care for humans. They had only ever thrown stones or chased him away. But something about the cry tugged at a place deep within him, a place he thought had long since hardened. Curiosity, or perhaps something greater, drew him closer. He moved silently, his paws barely making a sound on the frost-covered ground. As he approached, the crying grew louder, more desperate. And then he saw it. A tiny bundle, wrapped in a thin blanket, lying at the base of an ancient oak tree. The baby's face was red from crying, its tiny fists clenched as it wailed into the night. Kyle's first instinct was to turn away. This was not his problem. He had his own survival to worry about. But as he took a step back, the baby's cries pierced the air, and something inside him snapped. He couldn't leave it. Not like this. Cautiously, Kyle approached the bundle. The baby's cries softened as it sensed his presence, its wide, tear-filled eyes locking onto his. Kyle sniffed the air, detecting no scent of humans nearby. Whoever had left the baby here was long gone. The blanket was damp from the cold, and the baby's lips were beginning to turn blue. Kyle knew the child wouldn't survive the night if left alone. With a gentleness that belied his ragged appearance, Kyle nudged the baby with his nose, trying to warm it with his body. The baby whimpered but didn't cry out, as if sensing that Kyle meant no harm. The dog lay down beside the child, curling his thin frame around the tiny bundle. His fur, though matted, provided some warmth, and his steady breathing seemed to soothe the baby. Hours passed, and the night grew colder. Kyle knew he couldn't stay here forever. He had to find help. But how? The village was far, and the humans there feared him. Still, he couldn't abandon the baby. Summoning every ounce of courage he had, Kyle gently picked up the blanket in his teeth, careful not to hurt the child, and began the long trek toward the village. The journey was grueling. Kyle's legs trembled with exhaustion, and his empty stomach growled in protest. But he pressed on, driven by a determination he didn't fully understand. The baby, now quiet, seemed to trust him completely, its tiny hand occasionally brushing against his muzzle. As dawn broke, Kyle reached the outskirts of the village. The first rays of sunlight revealed his gaunt frame and the precious bundle he carried. A woman fetching water from the well spotted him and let out a gasp. "It's the savage dog!" she cried, alerting others. Soon a crowd had gathered, their faces a mix of fear and curiosity. Kyle stood his ground, his eyes pleading in a way no human had ever seen before. He carefully set the baby down on the ground and took a step back, his tail tucked between his legs. The villagers stared in stunned silence. That's the abandoned child," one of them exclaimed. "The one the old woman left in the forest." Realization dawned on the crowd. The baby had been left to die, but this dog, This savage creature had saved it. Shame washed over them as they remembered how they had treated Kale, throwing stones and driving him away. The village elder, a wise woman with kind eyes, stepped forward. She knelt beside the baby, checking it for injuries. "This child is alive because of this dog," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "We owe him our gratitude." From that day on, everything changed. Kyle was no longer an outcast. The villagers welcomed him with open arms, offering him food and shelter. The baby, named Lila, became the village's collective responsibility, and Kyle was hailed as her guardian. As the years passed, Kyle grew strong and healthy, his coat shining once more. He and Lila became inseparable. Wherever she went, he was by her side, a loyal protector and friend. The villagers often marveled at the bond between the girl and the dog, a bond forged in the darkest of nights and tempered by love. And so, the savage, starving dog became a hero, proving that even the most broken souls can find redemption in acts of kindness. His story was told for generations, a reminder that compassion knows no bounds, and that even in the bleakest moments, hope can shine through.